Good evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome to Hilaal Live, the first show here from the Johannesburg studio for the year 2024. My name is Faraz Patel. I would like to thank you, the viewer, for staying with us. And of course, back from a well-deserved break. So we hope to have, of course, more viewing for you, especially in a very important week that is going to be happening at the ICJ. Of course, just 2 weeks ago, a group of South African lawyers had opened up a case against Israel for its current genocide against the people of Gaza. And of course, that hearing will be taking place tomorrow, Thursday, 11th of January, and of course, the following day on January the 12th on that Friday. Now, of course, on Hilaal TV, we'll be bringing you rolling coverage tomorrow and Friday with regards to what is happening, and of course, broadcasting to you the ICJ hearing that will be happening from The Hague in the Netherlands. Now, over the last few weeks, while many were on a break, the bombing of Gaza did not take a break. More and more innocent civilians of Gaza had been killed. More and more journalists had been killed. More and more families had lost loved ones. And tomorrow's case in the ICJ becomes even more important in trying to make sure that the Israeli government, who continues to commit and perpetuate these crimes, are brought to book. And today we're going to be breaking down what will be happening within the ICJ from a South African perspective. I'd like to welcome my first guest, Jo Bluen. She studies at the London School of Economics. She's, of course, part of the South African Jews for a Free Palestine. And she is, of course, about to complete her PhD in international law and the study of apartheid. My other guest is no stranger to Hilaal TV. It's none other than Roshan Dadoo, who is the coordinator of the South African BDS Coalition. Ladies, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Job, I want to start off with you. Let's talk about the International Criminal Justice Court and their mandate in terms of criminally prosecuting leaders who have committed genocides, and of course the history with regards to this.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us on the show, and greetings to your viewers. It's an honor to be here. So I think one of the profound things is there's two major institutions in The Hague that deal with this. One is the ICC, which holds individuals criminally responsible, and the other is the ICJ, which is what we're looking at now, which deals with state-to-state relations. So actually, this is a very significant moment, because it's not just an individual like Netanyahu being brought to book, but the whole state of Israel as a state is being held liable for committing genocide and for failing in its international responsibility to prevent genocide. And I think it's a really profound moment, and one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot. So the Genocide Convention under which this case is being brought was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 1948. In the same year that apartheid was established both here in South Africa and in Palestine. So we have this moment where a legal text that really has historically not considered anti-colonial and anti-apartheid things is being brought to the use of liberation and justice. Now, the ICJ is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. And unlike the ICC, it does have quite a history of bringing forward kind of anti-colonial cases. So we saw the Namibia cases in the 70s, where it was the court ruled against South Africa for its apartheid occupation of Southwest Africa. We see the Chagos Islands case, where there was a ruling against the United Kingdom for the incomplete decolonization of Mauritius, of the Chagos Islands. And of course, the Palestine Wall case. So this is the kind of broader context of the court in which we are finding the current case.
Roshan, It comes down to these big moments, these historic moments. Now, of course, you being part of South African BDS for years and years and years, even post apartheid, there's been this fight for the liberation of Palestine. But what this legal team is doing now really creates a new piece of history, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I think it's just one of the tools in the toolbox using international law. I'm not an international lawyer, but we can see the impact politically that this is having. We've seen both the support from Palestine, and I think that's important to note. People in Palestine are fully behind South Africa. They are really impressed that South Africa, particularly having fought apartheid, having been hand in hand in struggle with the Palestinian people since our days of struggle against apartheid, are taking a case which not only in effect claims Israel as committing genocide, and tomorrow in the provisional remarks hearings seeks to put a stop, an immediate stop, so that the situation doesn't get worse. I mean, we've seen how much worse it can get. It is getting, but also that we have defeated apartheid. We tried to use by every means possible. We had an armed struggle. We called on the international community for boycotts, divestments, and sanctions. And likewise, we're very proud that South Africa is taking this case, is putting the case of genocide under the Genocide Convention, a very strong case if you read the document. And I'd urge non-lawyers also to have a look at it, because it's written in a way that it's long, but it's possible to understand. It's not in jargon, and it clearly lays out the facts of the matter and how the behaviors of Israel, this onslaught against Gaza at the moment, the expressions of intent to ethnically cleanse, to destroy Gaza by the Prime Minister, the President, ministers in the war cabinet, all of which add up to a really strong case that Israel is committing genocide. But even before the full merits of the case are looked at, which can take a long time, as we know from previous cases, I think tomorrow is really important, where South Africa is basically asking Israel to cease and desist, to stop immediately now the onslaught on Gaza, in order for the merits of the case to be addressed and in order for the evidence to be able to be gathered. So I think it's a super important moment. Plus, in effect, we're diplomatically accusing the United States of direct complicity through the provisions in the Genocide Convention. We're obliged as a state party to try to stop this genocide, for one. So putting this case is absolutely the right thing to do any way you look at it. It's our obligation as South Africa, a member, a state party to the convention. But we're also, in doing so, in effect, attacking the very hegemonic narrative that we have had to put up with, that to silence pro-Palestinian supporters, that is still trying to be used, particularly in European countries, to silence pro-Palestinian activists. We're challenging that very, very central narrative around that you cannot criticize Israel, that Israel can act with impunity, that somehow it can just ignore every tenet of international and international humanitarian law. We're putting it on the spot. We're making them appear in the dock and defend themselves. And they have never done this before. And by doing so implicitly, the United States, who have been funding and arming even just yesterday or the day before, increasing another few $1 billion worth of arms to Israel, while Biden makes mealy-mouthed comments while he potters around in Israel whilst this genocide is continuing. So I think it's really important politically and for activists to support South Africa's application and to follow the process tomorrow particularly.
After the break, I'll continue my conversation with Roshan Dadoo and Joe Bluen. We are looking ahead, of course, to those ICJ hearings that begin tomorrow in The Hague, the Netherlands. Do stay tuned.